Top Pentagon officials insist U.S. strikes crushed Iran's nuclear program, why they say the strike was a major success and why some lawmakers aren't convinced. And in Springdale, a new zoning ordinance is paving the way to establish RV parks in the city.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Well, thank you for joining us for your 5 News at noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with Joshua Weisel. I got up a little early this morning, went to breakfast with our photographer, Nicole. It's her last day today, so we had to say goodbye to her. But early in the morning, it was already hot. We were sitting outside and we started sweating. We had to go inside.
Oh yeah, that's the fun part of this time of the year is we don't get those cool crisp mornings. You wake up and you're like, oh, it's going to be like this all day, isn't it? So
yeah.
Starting off hot and humid, and it's going to continue to be that. It feels repetitive at this point. But let's take a look at those temperatures just to show you how hot it is right now. And you can see kind of across the board, we're anywhere between the lower 80s to the upper 80s. And you can see it's kind of odd just because with the terrain, there's going to be a little bit of a difference. We're going to be a little bit lower in portions of southern Washington County, and then the higher you go, it's going to be a little bit warmer. So kind of all across the board, lower 80s into the upper 80s. So it's just hot out there right now. But the little bit of humidity that we have right now, it's leading to some warm feels-like temperatures. So we're already seeing a pretty good spread across the area, a little bit warmer in the river valley, but you know, it's just going to be hot and humid throughout the day. So here's a look at that hourly forecast. It's going to be another great day. We're going to keep some of those clouds here and there. Very, very low chance for a spotty shower. If you've been watching the radar the last couple of days, look at these little pops on the radar, these little bitty cells. They'll be very short-lived. They'll produce some rain, and then they're gone in the next couple of scans. So very, very low rain chances, not widespread, anything like that. So throughout the day today, going to be hot, it's going to be humid, it's going to be clear, especially for the rodeo of the Ozarks. Just be mindful that we could see maybe 1 or 2 of those little specks on the radar, but no major problems to talk about. We'll have more on that forecast and maybe some rain chances on the horizon here coming up.
Thanks, Joshua. Well, the Arkansas Board of Corrections has voted to authorize 2 test wells at the Franklin County Prison site. The state will spend $50,000 to drill 2 wells to see how much water is at the site of the proposed prison. The Board of Corrections approved this in a meeting this morning in a 6-0 vote. They hope to determine if there's enough water in the area to serve as a water supply for the prison. Well, new developments from the National Weather Service. They've now confirmed an EF1 tornado moved through Devil's Den State Park on June 7th. The storm's path was 8 miles long, and the NWS says the tornado snapped and uprooted trees there in the park. And the NWS also confirmed a tornado touched down in West Fork last week. They updated their report saying the storm was an EF1 when it touched down last Wednesday. Well, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is forcefully pushing back against an intelligence assessment that U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities only marginally set back the country's nuclear program. In a fiery news conference, Pentagon officials revealed new information about the mission. Tarian Small reports from the White House.
As a fragile ceasefire deal between Israel and Iran continues to hold,
President Trump created the conditions to end the war.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth forcefully pressed the case Thursday that U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites got the job done.
You want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack.
Hegseth blasted reporters for focusing on a preliminary assessment from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency suggesting Iran's nuclear program had only been set back by a few months. Defense officials also showed video of tests from bunker buster bombs used in the mission, which they say penetrated ventilation shafts, causing significant damage at key locations, including Fordow.
Simply stated, they absolutely crushed it.
President Trump jumped on social media after the news conference to push back on claims that Tehran moved the enriched uranium out of the sites in advance, saying it would have been too heavy and hard to do so. In a recorded video, Iran's supreme leader downplayed the U.S. strikes and warned against any further U.S. attacks.
We're going to talk to them next week with Iran. We may sign an agreement. I don't know.
Briefings for lawmakers scheduled for earlier this week were postponed.
Our history is full of efforts to either manipulate intelligence or when the few cases where we ignore it, we do it at our own peril.
Today, Secretary Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and other administration officials will brief senators behind closed doors. Torian Small, CBS News, the White House.
On Wednesday, the White House press secretary told reporters she believes the leak of the initial assessment of the U.S. strikes on Iran was illegal, and she says the FBI is investigating. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador and then returned to the U.S. for prosecution, will remain in jail until at least Friday. On Wednesday, his lawyers and prosecutors met after a judge denied the government's request to detain him pre-trial. He's pleaded not guilty to 2 conspiracy charges tied to what the Trump administration calls a major human smuggling operation that brought immigrants into the U.S. illegally. Well, developing out of Crawford County, Sheriff Daniel Perry confirms 2 people have been arrested for capital murder. Billy Nelson and Eddie Sterling, each facing counts of capital murder. Investigators say that they shot and killed 2 people at a home on Land's End Road, about 3 miles outside Chester on Tuesday. Both of the victims were men, but no other information about their identities has been provided to us. Both Nelson and Sterling are in the Crawford County Jail with no bond. We'll bring you any updates on this case on air and on our website, 5newsonline.com. Well, happening today, the Pea Ridge Police Department will host a candlelight vigil to honor Officer Kevin Apple. He died in the line of duty 4 years ago today. City leaders will speak at the event. The community will also hold a moment of silence. The program begins at 9 tonight at the memorial site on Slack Street and Townsend Way. Well, in Springdale, a new zoning ordinance is paving the way to establish RV parks in the city. The item was discussed after previous codes prevented the Ozark Canopy RV Park from expanding. City previously denied the request due to 20-year-old zoning laws, which were updated and approved Tuesday. Included in the new ordinance are location, design, and requirements that improve safety.
The current standards that had been developed years ago were frankly outdated, and they did not align with the current development rules that we put forth with commercial developments that come up around Springdale.
Ozark Canopy RV Park says it plans to add 40 to 50 more RVs to its park under that new ordinance. The city of Bentonville is increasing its electricity rates. A cost of service study was done this year and recommended that rates go up between 4 and 8%.
You will see a line item on your bill that says franchise fee 5%, and it'll have a number associated with it that is dependent on your usage. What we have done is decouple the franchise fee from the rate. So the rate will stay the same. The actual electric rate will stay the same, but because the franchise fee has been broken out, is an effective 5% increase in your overall bill.
The 5% rate increase will take effect on August 1st.